This is a Decentered media vlog with me, Rob Watson. Conversations about community media. Visit decentered.co.uk or follow on Instagram and Twitter at Decentered Media. Hello, Rob Watson here. This is a Decentered media vlog. I'm just in Leicester city centre. It's quite a pleasant afternoon. The sun's out and it's Monday. What date is it? Monday the 12th of October. And I wanted to just have a little chat about how I'm getting on doing these, looking at and trying my hand at some of these walking tour videos that I've started to see on YouTube a lot now, and just think about what they are about and how they work. And I just find them really interesting, as I'm a bit of a kind of I quite like just viewing them at the moment and kind of seeing other people's work and looking at how people are using it as a tool to say something. And it's a bit, it's kind of quite interesting because some of the time they follow a whole kind of range of templates almost, and some of the time they're really kind of quite haphazard, and some of the time they're very grounded in actually, when I say grounded, I mean basic in terms of what they can do and how they're shot and everything, and that's kind of what I like about them. But I've been thinking about what they kind of enable us to do in thinking about how we understand kind of our culture and our society and the places where we are and what we do, what we get up to, how we engage with one another. And for me, it's a bit like they are a mirror, which, they enable us to capture something which is quite straightforward and without a lot of mediation. Obviously there is mediation there, but there are, if you like, almost an anthropological tool, because you can watch them at different times. There's a number of videos. I've put together a playlist which I'll share a link for, of videos, walking tour videos in Leicester. And kind of when you look at them over time, then you can start to analyse them in terms of patterns. So the obvious thing would be clothing, the kind of shops, the kind of built environment around a town or a city or a place, and how people use that space. And by being able to put a small camera in a public place and capture images at quite a high quality rate, then you're able to pick out more of the detail of what's going on. And it kind of allows you to tune in, and this is the phrase I've been thinking about, is how does it allow us to tune into the collective consciousness or the collective unconsciousness, and how does it allow us to give a sense that we're not just looking at things superficially, we're not just looking at the way that people behave, which is an important part of a psychological understanding, but we've got to really go past that and start to ask questions about what informs and shapes and articulates our sense of motivation and what our drives are and what the archetypal impulses that define us are about, and where they originate from, and how we account for them and use them and understand them. So I find watching some of the videos, the first level of engagement with them is very much about who, what, where, when and how, which is great. It gives us we can characterize this information quite in some depth, and we can structure it based around things like who is represented in these images, on what basis are they represented, how do we capture what people's activities are about, who is included in them, what kind of patterns of behaviour are enabled and captured by these videos. And there's a question of consent and permission that goes with them as well, and a very important question of consent and permission. But there's also a question, I think, of, you know, what are the factors that underpin a group of, collectively, as a society, as a culture? What are the factors that, you know, shape why we're doing what we're doing, rather than just ticking them off? So from a superficial point of view, we may see people acting and behaving or engaging with one another in a way which is very simplistic. And what we really got to try and tune into is the intrapsychic energies that define that space, that give shape to that. So it's not so much about trying to simply come up with a set of categories that indicate what is happening where and when, but it's thinking through what's this heading towards. And that's kind of what interests me, is where is this going? What are the forces that are at play, and where are they heading? So are they heading in a positive, healthy, balanced direction, or are they heading in an unhealthy, unbalanced direction? And learning to read the social situation, because it's changed. I think that's one of the things that I can definitely say, is that prior to the lockdown, and then during the lockdown and beyond the lockdown, as we kind of come out of the lockdown, then people's attitudes and approaches to social engagement in public spaces has shifted. And one of the things we've got in Leicester, which has been a good, positive, pro-social thing, is a lot more pedestrianisation. There's a long way to go. We're still a city that's defined by its car usage. But one of the things we've seen is people more often sitting outside cafes, in public places, on street cafes, and this is something that has been, desired for a long time. That people have wanted a more continental European style sense of social engagement. Well, we don't have the weather for it, but nor do we have the kind of mindset. And are people's behaviours and expectations about what they do in social spaces shifting and changing? So I think one of the things that I find really useful about these is listening to the other videos that I've watched, where there is a narration to them, where there is a guide who's sharing their experience of a place or a location, listening to what they prioritise and how they describe and explain what their sense of identity is, what their sense of belonging is, how they seek to justify where it is that they are, or where they're from, and how they contextualise that, and do they apologise for it? Are they, chauvinistic about it? Are they, mindful that other people might not have a similar set of experiences, or is it something which is really just an imitation of things that other people have seen in, kind of on Instagram and across YouTube, that they're really just kind of, or on other forms of broadcast media, that they're just kind of expressing themselves in a way which is shaped by their expectations of how other media tell stories about these places. And what I'm drawn to is that kind of unique personal experience and the reflexive experience of the people who are involved. So it really isn't about trying to be like somebody else, but it's somebody in whatever language and whatever level of capacity and capability that somebody has, that they tell their story and share their thoughts and their ideas and their feelings about a situation and a place, and people get used to one another doing that. So I'm captivated by these walking tour videos as a form of community media, which we really need to explore in more detail, and we need to start some dialogue about how it works and what it's used for, and where we might go with them in the future, and what we can expect from them, and where we encourage more people into the process of creating them, and that there's a recognition that they're an important part of the life of a community, which goes beyond institutions. So there are individuals who are producing them at the moment, and they don't have any kind of institutional baggage, although they may have learnt from years of watching kind of standard mainstream. So it's going to be interesting to keep watching them. I'm going to keep collecting videos about Leicester and find out what it is that's going on with these things. If you want to give us you can find a bit more information on the Decentered Media website, which is decentered.co.uk. If you want to share your thoughts, or if you've got any ideas, or if you've got any examples that you think would be worth looking at and looking at in a bit more detail, and talking to the people who are involved in producing them, that's the next step that I've got in mind, is to start to have a few conversations with some people who are doing this. And give us a shout. You can contact me on Twitter and Instagram at Decentered Media, and keep your eye out. I'll share a link for the walking tour videos that are produced for myself, which are, if you go to robwatsonmedia.net, it's kind of where I do a bit more kind of personal blogging and a bit more experimentation in photography and stuff like that. So if you go and have a look at those sites, then some of the links to the videos will be on there, and I'll put a playlist, link to the playlist for these videos in the notes for this message as well. Speak to you soon. You've been watching a Decentered Media vlog with me, Rob Watson. To find out more, go to decentered.co.uk or follow on Twitter and Instagram at Decentered Media.